Okay, I think we're live on all fronts now. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy Mullally. I'm the writer and director of Capo, which is a feature film in development at the moment. If you're tuning in for the first time today, for whatever reason, what this is a ongoing live series where I provide updates of where we're at with the project, uh, bringing people up to speed with what's been done in the months and weeks leading up to right now, but then also literally day to day seeing the behind the scenes of how we're building this project and getting it off the ground. So, welcome if this is your first time tuning in. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about because it came up recently, especially yesterday, and it's something that crops up in conversations often enough that I felt like it was worth doing it live. So I thought I might as well talk about it. And it's essentially what the title of this video is, if you have seen it, and that is the Capo, this film, is it too ambitious? There's a part of me that wants to say yes, it is ambitious, but not too ambitious. And I'm qualifying it in that sense of too, because although this film is ambitious and there's elements to it that make it ambitious, which is why it makes sense for someone to ask that question in the first place. For example, we have a scene which requires roughly 200 extras, which to me isn't too ambitious because I'll just invite my family, which is about half the extras anyway. But no, jokes aside, that's a reason why on paper things can seem ambitious, and there's other elements to it too, from the fact of the locations we want to shoot at. We have a view of shooting. We're here in Perth, so we want to shoot at His Majesty's Theatre, which is just an amazing location. It's actually one of my favourite places in Perth. So yeah, those are examples where you look at the project and you see it as ambitious. But that being said, it's very grounded, and that's what I want to cover off today. And the first reason that it's grounded is because the way that we, and by we I mean me in this situation, the way that I arrived at this project was the story first. So this story's been with me for over a decade now. If you remember on previous lives, that's something I've spoken about, and um, that story has been going through years of iterations to arrive at the screenplay that it is now. And so that's one of the strongest elements of the project is the story. Just and that's not just to blow my own trumpet. It's the fact that it's been rewritten several times. I've gotten loads of feedback from people, both inside and outside the industry. So it's built around that central story and that central premise, which I believe any good film really has to do. If it doesn't have a strong story, then it's in my opinion not a film. It's something else. So it's built around that, not around heavy VFX. And again, I'm not that's not to denigrate films that have VFX, but it's not requiring those large elements. And although we have one scene that has lots of extras, besides that, it's the story is based around a small cast of characters, around 7 characters in the film, with the main character being Alexander, who's basically in every scene, barring one or two. So that's really the first point. The second point flows on from the first, and that is the step by step process of the development that we've gone through. We have not rushed this project one bit. So each element of how we're going to create this has been carefully considered. So I already spoke about the screenplay. That in itself was not only important to me from I guess like an artistic integrity point of view, to be at the standard it is now, but then going beyond that when you move past the screenplay. So how we're putting together the finance plan, how we're crafting the budget to suit that story. So all those little elements have been carefully considered and will continue to be carefully considered right up until the point where we're shooting, and then obviously beyond as well. So from that point of view, it's very grounded. And the last one is actually goes to the heart of how how we got to this stage in the first place. So when I first met with Alexi, who's our executive producer, all I had, well, I had a bit more, but like the main thing I had was a screenplay that was well, at that time thought completed, but it's evolved a lot since then. But in any case, all I had was a screenplay, and Alexi, and this is the way he works with a lot of the filmmakers he's had the pleasure of working with, is starting from the standpoint of what's within your resources to be able to create, and by that he means being practical with what you can raise as a filmmaker in order to create this. So it's essentially reverse engineering it and ensuring that you can create it as an independent filmmaker, and with in the bounds of what is realistically like a limited budget. I mean, all budgets are limited, but realistically, a low budget film. So although our budget has gone up over time in order to accommodate certain factors that we believe are critical to the success of the film, it's also been geared to be an independent film, and also to make sure that we can recover revenue once we sell it into the marketplace. So yes, in some ways this project is ambitious, but again, I would qualify it by saying it's not too ambitious, and there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. That's something that I strive for on a personal basis, but it's also very grounded based on those elements. There's a lot of consideration that's gone into this project, and we'll consider to as we continue on this journey of bringing it to the screen. So I hope you enjoyed that today, and thanks for tuning in. Again, if you're tuning in for the first time, one of the things I always sort of close this off with is to just remind people that we are getting people involved in this project as investors. So if you're watching this and you could foresee yourself being a part of this project, feel free to reach out. And if you know someone who might get value in listening to me ramble on, but me go over the project and uh, uh, deliver what's happening on a day-to-day basis, feel free to just flick them a link to these videos, because we've got a lot more in the works over the coming weeks with some exciting things happening. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope you all have a good evening if you're in Perth, and a good day if you're in another part of the world. Thanks very much.